But I have experienced suicide in my family. I lost my eldest sister to suicide back in 2009.
We lost our grandfather. This is a man who was a pastor, a man who was energetic, a man, he was not sick. You know, there are even signs. But one day, one time, we are called and we are told that your dad has died by suicide, especially for kids.
Yeah. Yes.
Huu ni ule mtoto wa mwenye alijiua.
Yes.
Not even kujiua. The A kwanza in Swahili is bad. Huu ni ule mtoto wa mwenye alijinyonga.
Yes.
And this kid is so innocent.
Mwenye alikuwa muguruki.
Yes,
the mad one.
The mad one.
Welcome to One on One with Kajim, where real people share real stories that inspire and transform. From raw truth of the highs and lows of marriage to business, street smart tactics from founders who cash the checks and the powerful voices behind humanitarian change, Kajim sits down with the people making it happen. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. One on One with Kajim, where every conversation hits home.
Hi, my good people, and welcome to One on One with Kajim. Hey, thank you so much for your love, for your support. You have been working with me in this journey, and I hope you have been learning and learning. And that's why I always say, always share. Hey, si ile tunasikiza then unakuwa tu peke yako. Share these conversations. Because what we decided is to have these conversations which are uncomfortable, so that once now you hear them from One on One with Kajim, zinakusaidia. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, today I have a special guest. You know, September is the month recognized as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and encourage open conversations about mental health and suicide prevention. And now, today, I'm glad to be hosting one of the best person who can discuss about that. Of course, not me. Sabu, even in marriages, even in relationships, these things, they're happening. Even at your home, I know these things, they're happening. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce none other than, I'll call her Dr. Irene Njoroge. Tumpigie makofi. Yeah. Karibu sana. I was wondering the right title.
Irene.
You don't like the doctor?
Irene, the mental health person, the behavioral therapist.
Yes.
That is where I am home.
Irene Gerog.
Yeah, wa mental health.
Utaki madaktari nini?
Irene wa mental health.
Yeah. Welcome to One on One with Kajim.
Thank you.
And of course, we are happy to be hosting you today and discuss a conversation that is not comfortable.
Yeah.
Nilisema hapa kwa One on One, we keep it real. Yeah. We keep it raw so that we are able to rescue one or two situations here and there. Maybe you can introduce yourself to my viewers.
Yes. Yeah, well, thank you for having me on One with Kajim.
Karibu sana.
And I'm delighted to be here.
Yes.
My name is Irene Njoroge. I am a married mother of two.
Wow.
Before everything, and family is everything to me. I am also professionally in what I do for my daily bread.
Yes.
I am in the mental health space. I am a mental health clinician. I started mental health nursing. That's the first degree that I did.
Yeah.
Veered it into public health, also recognizing how mental health interacts in the public health arena. And now did behavioral therapy. And I actively now work as a behavioral therapist. And I recently also became energy leadership coach through International Coaching Federation by IPEC. And my work there, I am coaching both leaders and people going through transitions in life. So that is what I do. I have an organization called CAFRIC International, and CAFRIC provides end-to-end mental health services. Whether you just want to talk, you want an assessment to know why you do what you do, or you're struggling with a mental health condition, you need to see a psychiatrist, or you're struggling with any addiction, not just substances, and you need either to attend one of our groups or come in for rehabilitation. We have a full licensed and regulated medical center.
I didn't know there is a course called behavior
Yes.
therapy.
Behavioral medicine, yes.
Eh,
Yes. That you
what does
learn,
it involve? Yani
learning-
behavior.
yes, just human behavior.
Allah.
Yes, you learn the science of why people make the decisions that they do, and why and what leads to actions or behaviors that we see. Because people don't just wake up and behave. There is a science to it. Every behavior starts with a thought, and that thought creates an emotion or a feeling. And how you feel, you'll act or not act. So, as behavioral therapists, we don't just look at human behavior as bad. We don't judge it. We understand it and we educate people what their behavior means to them, because each action or decision matters to the person making it.
Oh.
Yes.
So hiyo kitu ya mimi nakuanga hivi.
Yes.
You don't just see it as mimi nakuanga hivi. You go deeper to know the reason as to why someone does something differently.
I will respond to that by a quote by Anais Nin, who is one of my favorite authors. And she said that we do not see the world as it is. That's not Anais Nin, by the way. We see it as we are. That is one. Anais Nin said, no, that's Anais Nin. We do not see the world as it is. We see it as we are through the lenses that we wear. Where does our lenses come from? It comes from where we've been, what we have learned, what we have experienced. All of those define our lenses. And then in terms of behavior, Carl Jung, another well-known psychologist, said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So many of us,
direct unconscious conscious.
till you make whatever is in the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So many of us live every day doing things, that's who I am, but because that's all we've known. So our work is not to advise people, is to raise people's consciousness. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Using science. Yeah.
Hey, that is great. And I hope you have learned something. So what does Suicide Prevention Awareness Month mean to you personally, at a personal level?
It means a lot. As I said, professionally, this is all I've done all my life as a profession.
Yes.
As a professional, and in my profession, not particularly just suicide, but everything that impacts the human mind. And September, as you very eloquently introduced, is Suicide Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And the theme is changing the narrative on suicide. And that personally and also professionally, that is what I seek to do. Change the narratives around how people talk about it, about raising awareness on the myths that we hold as true, but not truth, and the stigma that is associated with that, both for people who struggle with suicidal ideation, but also for families who are living with these people and those who have faced suicide loss. And personally, suicide touches me to the core because, and I have no fear of saying this, I apologize to any member of my family that may feel like I'm stepping on their toes, but I have experienced suicide in my family. I lost my eldest sister to suicide back in 2009. And she's one of those people that you grew up seeing struggle because she had a active mental health condition. And actually, I say she's the genesis why I wanted to study to go into the mental health field. Why? I saw the struggle that she struggled with. I saw the stigma she faced. And she was a beautiful, intelligent woman who loved her family, but also one that was reduced to her being, and allow me to use Kikuyu, amugoroki. So she is the one who stirred that passion in me. So she mattered. But just when I was completing my education, she died by suicide. Yes, and I was in Canada then. I was in school. I was preparing to write board exams for licensing. And that's what happened. And at that moment, I think it was the darkest for me because even in school in Canada, people would say, "Why are you so passionate about mental health?" And I said, "Because I want to save my sister." And it felt like I never saved her. But since then, I have learned and forgiven myself, but also taken the right actions to still feel like I keep saving whatever mattered to her.
Yeah.
Yes, so that is why.
So sorry about that, because as I said, these are conversations that are very uncomfortable and people are not willing to talk about them. And when you don't say and when you don't have conversations around what keeps on maybe making people to lose lives and everything, then who then will bring solution?
Yeah.
Who then will now come with a solution to everything? It's like barabara hii ni mbaya, potholes ni mingi, so every car inapitia hapo inaanguka, inapitia hapo inaanguka. So who is this person to raise awareness to say that this road is a risky road? Please drive with this speed and everything and everything. Yeah. So what do people most misunderstand about this whole narrative about suicide?
I would say it's the myths that perhaps you've had, and so many people hear about them. And one of those is people who, and allow me, before I answer that, to correct, because you'll hear me say people who die by suicide. People are used to people who commit suicide. Oh. So as a trauma-informed, as a trauma-informed professional, part of changing the narrative is actually correcting how we talk about suicide. So if you think about people commit crimes. And so, up until recently, suicide was a crime. Attempting suicide was a crime in Kenya. So I am not, I can see where that came from. People commit a crime called suicide. But now evidence has shown us, and actually now even our judicial system has supported that it's actually
suicide.
Yes, people die by suicide as one of the ways in which people die. People die with motor vehicle accidents. People die with illnesses. This is sometimes an illness of the mind or an illness of the soul. It is an illness, whether of the mind or the soul, and we look at that. So just correcting that people die.
I think I love it.
Yeah.
So I think even you don't say it's people, he died, he committed suicide.
He died. Died by suicide.
By suicide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you asked about, what people misunderstand. That is one. That is one. Another one is a lot of people say or believe that people who die by suicide are selfish or weak. And one thing I would want to clarify, as personally who have experienced it in my family, my sister was the bravest woman I know.
And I think at that point, you will also allow me to say that I've also been affected. And more reason as to why I looked for you, because we lost our grandfather. This is a man who was a pastor, a man who was energetic, a man, he was not sick. There are even signs. But one time we are called and we are told that your dad has died by suicide. Up to today, I've never understood why that man, the man that I'm named after, James Moiro, the man that I'm named after. So it was a shock, even in the village, even at home, even in our family, because you are trying to ask yourself questions. What could have led to this great man? Yeah. My Guka was actually an MC like me. And then now this happens. He's jovial. And even as you talk about that misunderstanding, you'll also help us, as people who are always jovial, then sometimes we are sad and we do some things that we don't even understand. Yes, so you can proceed. So that people even will know that we are not talking about you. We are victims of what we are discussing. And that's why we are talking here on your behalf, so that you understand why it happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let me commend you and acknowledge your vulnerability in talking about that.
Yes.
Because personally, I know it wasn't easy. But also for, someone who is in the public limelight,
agree. Yeah.
for you to be vulnerable enough to share that, that means a lot.
Yes.
Even more than what it means to people coming
yes.
from me
Oh,
as a
yes.
professional,
Oh, yes.
because people may just look at Jimmy, Kajim, the go-getter,
life.
and so that I'm sure will really touch
Yeah.
someone's heart.
Yeah.
And thank you for being vulnerable and
We
brave.
must, because I told you these are conversations that people are not having.
Yeah.
And the moment you keep on hiding them under the carpet, then you hear something, then you are like, guy, I wish ningeongea hii story.
Yeah.
And that's why we are having this conversation today.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you are talking about the misconceptions, and you have already said one.
Yeah. So that one, that people are selfish and weak, it's not true. People who die by suicide, they are brave people, and they are people who are also in pain, either mentally or in their soul. And a lot of them, they actually choose suicide as a way to relieve their burden off of their families. And that is actually what happened, particularly for me, in my sister. I know that is what was happening. She was relieving us of her burden because they view themselves as a burden. And so it is almost like I'm doing my family or my friends a favor. And then when we look at them as weak or selfish people, they're people who think that is the only way to relieve those that they love, the burden at that particular point. So that is another myth.
Okay.
Third one is people fear talking about suicide. And especially, I worked a lot with young people, the youth and parents. And especially we've seen an emergence of young people cutting themselves, or, threatening, or some young people have died by suicide. And parents will say, I could see signs, but I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to ask, are you suicidal? Because I feared that would make it worse. And that again is not true. Actually, remember, people already feel like a burden. So it is almost like waiting every day for someone to see me and to see my pain and to ask me about it. So I will say, please talk about it. And how do we talk about it? And why is it important? When we talk about it, what do we do? Like what we just shared here.
Yeah.
We alleviate shame.
Yes.
If someone has experienced suicide in their family, if they have a child who has suicidal ideation, if they have the ideation themselves, they're already feeling part of a community of people who have experienced that. So it alleviates that suffering and alienation and shame. That is why it is important to talk about it. If it's your loved one, you're telling them, I see you. I see your pain, and I want to be here and to be a safe person for you to tell me about it. And that is what is so profound. So again, talking about it, people say it will make it worse. That's a myth. It's not true. Yes. And we can go on, but for the interest of time, I think those will allow people to. Yeah.
I remember when we were growing up, there used to be this conversation, and I think in each and every home, and especially some of us who have come from the villages, maybe you have been told to do something, and then you find yourself saying, sitafanya, mimi hata nimeenda kujiua. Looks like a joke, but how deep is that?
Well, it depends on the context. There sometimes, as we joke with many things. See, you've had even people joke. so especially kids, I wouldn't add any weight to that unless it is contextual to something. Maybe it's, as a child, you are told to go maybe visit or go to a neighbor's house.
Okay.
And maybe that house is where your pain comes from. Maybe you are violated, maybe sexually, maybe physically. So do you see how a child can say, mimi siezi enda huko, ili nikufe ama nijiue. So it has to be contextual. But again, we are humans, and human beings, we joke even with things that we are not necessarily supposed to joke with.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the only context.
So it's not a right joke. It's not a good joke.
Yeah, but when it comes with kids, we're just gonna let kids be kids. And allow me to add one myth that you've asked that, and thank you for asking,
Yeah.
because you brought this. A lot of people also believe that people who die by suicide or who have those thoughts, they are mentally ill, like they have depression. That is the one mental illness that people are very familiar with. They have depression. Again, that is not true. Well, depression is one of the risk factors that can predispose someone to actually suicidal ideation. It is one of the many. There are so many other factors. As I said, there is mental or psychological. There is psychological pain, one that is mental, and also one that is from the soul. So that deep emotional pain, it's not mental illness, but actually that is the biggest contributor. Yes.
I'm also trying to learn. So many people in relationships, and then they are hurt, and they end up maybe. We say it is committing, not
It's
committing.
dying.
It's dying by suicide.
Yeah, or having suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts, there is a progression to it. And allow me to answer this from now a scientific side of things.
Yeah.
As a professional. People don't just wake up one day and decide, I'm done with this life, or I want to punish my parents, or, I want to revenge. A lot of people think that. But that is scientifically, and science has shown
Yes.
evidence that there is a process from developing suicidal thoughts to ways in which we can interrupt them and protect someone from going now to the last stage, which is gaining the confidence and the courage to carry out the act. Okay. So in that process, the first one, and that is where your question may lie, is in what causes the development of suicidal thoughts. Like, I would rather be better off dead. It is one, pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. Pain. Plus hopelessness. What does that mean? Pain is people who may experience, whether it's a mental health condition, whether it's even a chronic medical condition, that you're living in pain. Maybe it's trauma, things that you have gone through, of rejection, abandonment, betrayal. Sometimes it's loss, that you feel the loss could be, significant loss could be losing your capacity to work, losing your finances, losing your family through separation, divorce, whatever. All of those things contribute to that emotional pain. And so when you have that pain, combined with there is nothing you can do, or there is no one who can help you relieve that pain. That is what we call helplessness. You are helpless and hopeless. So there is nothing I can do to relieve this pain. And I am also hopeless because there is no one I can count on to help me. So pain plus helplessness and hopelessness will now push one to feel it's this life, there's no meaning. And if you think evolutionary, we are created to avoid pain, right? That's why if even your son Jakes, or if they touch something hot, what do? They pull their hand and cry. Human beings, we are wired like that, to avoid pain, whether it is emotional or it is physical. So when my experience with pain now
gets to the extreme,
that my desire for life is not there, then people may have now thoughts, this life may not be worth living. So that is where it starts. So whether it's in relationships where I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard, and I never feel understood. And maybe I came from a background where I was rejected, I was abandoned, I was bullied or shamed. I don't matter. So do you see now, if I come from that background and I come to a relationship where I'm never seen, I'm never heard, and I'm never understood, or at least I don't feel it, So do you see where the development of suicidal ideation may come from?
But as you had said that there is the second phase where it can be avoided, it also means that there is this person who has this dark background, and then probably they fall into hands that are probably they understood. So that way now that one will keep on, maybe itaenda ikiondoa hiyo those suicidal thoughts.
Absolutely, and I can demonstrate to you how that is. So see, that is step one of that 3-step understanding suicide. So step 2, and what now protects that person, it is what we call social connectedness, and not what we call that is, there's a scientific theory that illustrates that. Social connectedness. And what is that? That's the biggest protective factor now. And this is when one is connected either to another human being. It could be in family, You may have come and you may have pain, but you have social support from your wife, one boy. You have social support from your shushu, from your community, from your staff at work.
Yeah.
Number 2, you have purpose. Look at what you do on a daily basis.
Yes.
Purpose. It's a huge protective factor. So what about if you had those thoughts and then all of a sudden you cannot work? Do you see? So that is the protective factor, social connectedness and connection to family. Another huge factor in social connectedness is faith. Faith in God, faith in whoever higher power one believes in. So if I couldn't have no physical connection with people, but I have such a spiritual connection with my faith, so that becomes a huge protective factor. So again, I may have pain, I may be helpless, but these things, the fact that my friends call me, they check on me, I know my family loves me, they are doing everything they can to help me with this, or my children, or my work, I have a purpose, I make impact in the world, and I have faith. I am not hopeless. You see, that is the protective factor. Yeah.
And I think some of us have really contributed a lot, because once you are hopeless, and maybe your background is not that good, but then you go and you get these examples even from the Bible, they help you to keep on moving.
Yeah.
You also talk about that connection as a protector factor. How can families and communities create that sense of connection?
Yeah. One is being intentional and authentic. One of the things, and I'll give you an example right now. I don't know, maybe you talk about losing your guka to suicide as a family or no.
Yeah.
That is one thing, that is people who have faced these difficulties or challenges, when we silence our voices because of shame or fear, we are actually creating, we are putting others at risk. You not talking about it, Jim, is a risk factor to your boys. You talking about losing guka and all of that is a protective factor to them, not just them, anyone else who is associated with you. So, and personally, I say that is why I don't have the privilege or the luxury to be quiet. And it's not necessarily because of me, because I've been in therapy and I have healed my pain.
Yeah.
But I also know what that does. I understand as a professional what that does to, the young ones in our family who are too young to even understand, who may have just grown up hearing, oh, in that family, there's a woman who committed suicide, because that's what people say. So that society voice, we cannot silence it. It is always going to be loud. But I say I choose to use my voice as the healthy voice, as the safe voice that will tell them, yes, we experienced that. But there is also this other beautiful life, including my sister's children, who are beautiful and talented and gifted. And all of us, her siblings who loved her, and her parents who are deceased now, but who loved and cared for her. So that is the only way we can demystify the shame the society tries to put
Bring.
on you, because a
every
lot of
time
people are
even you are
labeled.
seen, and then especially for kids,
Yeah. Yes.
huu ni ule mtoto wa mwenye alijiua.
Yes.
Not even kujiua. The kwanza in Swahili is bad. Huu ni ule mtoto wa mwenye alijinyonga.
Yes.
And these kids is so innocent.
Mwenye alikuwa muguruki.
Yes,
the mad one.
The mad one. Oh my goodness.
So
how can we as a society reduce that? That we have at least immunity to build up on you, because sometimes even the people that hurt the victims is the community, maybe the church, maybe the people just around, not even
Friends,
someone
family.
who doesn't even know about your family.
Yeah.
Actually, no one knew about your sister even when you came here, but you are the one. But maybe in your village, everyone knows about it, and they will feel they are very maybe uneasy. So how do we acquire this immunity to be able now to, yes, it happened, na tuko sawa?
Yeah. Before I answer to how do we prevent? Because the third, remember I told you about the 3 steps
Yes.
of understanding. So we've talked about pain and helplessness and hopelessness. We've also talked social connectedness as a protective factor.
Yes.
Now there is what we call acquired capability. So if I have thoughts of suicide as a mother, for example, I have that pain, I don't feel heard, I don't feel like I have a purpose, all of that. I may have that pain and feel helpless, but then when we go to step 2, social connectedness, I have a husband who sees me. I have a husband who accepts and understands me as the way I am. And I have children who adore me as their mother. So that social connectedness becomes the reason why my pain, while it is there is another force here that gives me hope. You see? Okay.
Got it.
So if I don't have that cushion, if I don't have purpose in my work, if I don't have faith, for example, me, I have desire to be guided by my faith, and I live by my faith every day. If I don't have that social connectedness with my friends, I have a safe space around me, even at work where I work with my team. They are my safe space and I am their safe space. You see? So I may have pain, but this becomes protective factors. If that is not there, then pain will still be in stage 2, and helplessness and hopelessness. So now, how do I take the action to now end my life? That depends on my capacity to do it. And that is what this theory calls acquired capability. Acquired capability, it is what makes people act or not act on their thoughts. Okay? So many people have thoughts about suicide. And actually they have thought about dying or ending their life many times. But then some of them are protected by whatever their social cushion is. Others don't have the social cushion, but then they have such fear of pain, of death, because we all fear death. Yeah. So fear of death becomes another protective factor. But there is something that makes that fear of death not even there. And that is what acquired capability is. What is this? One is one's disposition. For example, have you seen, even when you are a little boy, people who are fearless, like they will jump cliffs, they will do. So that is one disposition, one's personality, or even their perspective. There are people whose perspective always sees the world, the cup as half empty. Yes, that's another disposition, for example. Because what's the point? I'll feel pain, but for a few minutes. So that disposition to one's personality and attitude and perspective is one. Another capability is actually having access. Okay? Having access. For example, people like police officers. Having access to lethal means to end your life. Okay? So maybe knowing where you're going to buy whatever you want to to take that is poisonous, or having money or having it. Having access to the tools. And that is why you see people like doctors or people in the medical field, because not only do they have the tools, they have the knowledge. So they are even at higher risk than everybody else. People like police officers or military officers, they have access. They also have the knowledge. Okay? Yes. And so there is that. And the third one is being exposed to other people's pain or going through pain that is so close to you. And that is why you see, and I told you, if you have experienced suicide in your family, you are at higher risk because you've already seen. You see? Yeah, or even like now medical personnel who see death all the time. It's like you no longer fear it because you see how people fear going to funeral homes. Somebody like me or someone who is trained with a nurse or whatever, we've seen death so many times. So we are actually at risk just because that fear of death is not as live as it may be to somebody like you. So that is all acquired capability. Yes.
Are there any signs that you could even look at someone who is struggling and probably someone who has suicidal thoughts? Are you in a position even, can I be able to know this person is undergoing something?
Well, change of behavior is a huge indicator. Also, see if there are people you know. For example, if I heard that Jimmy is no longer, able to do Kajim events or even this podcast, the first question I should ask, or maybe somebody lost their job or their relationship ended, or, so that should tell me that is pain to that person.
Okay.
So we shouldn't even wait to see the extreme signs. It's like when you hear someone is in a state where they may be experiencing pain, just reach out. Just reach out. Because that could be the development of, remember, pain.
Change of behavior.
Yeah, change of behavior. So sometimes people isolate, they alienate themselves, they are not responding to messages. Well, some people choose to do that when they are going through a difficult time, especially people who are deep on their faith. And I'm one of those people. When I'm going through a difficult challenge, sometimes I will turn to God before I turn to people.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are also preferences. But I say you will not know, just ask. Just call. I have noticed you are isolating. I noticed that you lost your job. I heard that, your marriage ended. I heard that your relationship ended. How are you doing? Yes, and just be a safe place for people. Yeah.
And how can we support someone who is experiencing maybe suicidal thoughts, even as we talk, and maybe they are watching us?
Yeah. Well, offer that support, listening ear. And number 2, also I tell people, not because you're going to be mentally ill yourself or you're going to have the thoughts, but I tell people the one thing that you can is to be a listening ear, but also know where to access help for people when they may need it. Because if you're listening ear to me, Jimmy, and you do not know that, for example, Cafric, where I have, what kind of services we offer, that we can help people. You may, yes, or in even families don't know. So they may be sitting there. They know our kin is struggling, but we don't know where to get them help. And that is why I say, and I even tell my team, the reason we are on social media, we talk about this. Yes, there is a marketing element to it. But most importantly is that people know where to go or where to call should they find themselves in this situation. Because this is not diabetes where you will go and you'll be referred to an endocrinologist. Mental health, there's so much shame, there's so much stigma that even the courage to ask. So when I already know, oh, by the way, if you ever struggled, call Cafri, call Thika Level 5, call. If people know this is where I call and this is the number, that is one big protective factor. But it's when people don't even know that, then it's
but you see,
very helpless.
Even as much as you're saying people should call, let's say probably it is even in the village. The doctor is probably your relative. or someone that is from you're from the same village, and you are fearing how do we solve this?
Yeah.
Sasa mtu kama huyo atafanya nini?
Yes, and that's why services are there. You know, you may not talk to the people you know because again, they could be the source of your shame. You don't
Yeah.
want to be shamed anymore.
Yes.
And that's why I say, if now professionals who like us who are doing that work, if we don't make it accessible for people, then we are creating barriers and we are putting people at risk. So, for example, for us at Cafric, we have a toll-free number. Why? Because even when you don't have credit, you can call us.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
that we pay the credit for you. You can call. And why do you call? Because there are so many ways you can get help. You know, whether it is alcoholism that you're struggling with, whether it is whatever it is that you're struggling with. There are so many ways in which we can help people that is affordable, and that is number one. I say Kafrik is a safe space. It does not matter who you are or what you're coming with. When you come there, you experience safety. And I hope, and my desire, and I work also as a mentor for other young therapists and mental health professionals, that until we become safe space, our work is meaningless, because you cannot come to me with fear and shame and I become another source of your fear and shame. You see? So we need people who are able to contain people's pain and respect it.
Maybe as we come to conclusion of this podcast, how can schools, workplaces, communities do better in supporting mental wellness? Me, I was thinking if I was to be given a chance to be a PS or a CS, especially in education sector, I think this is one of the subjects that should be iko lazima watu wasome na wajue, because people are experiencing this way back kama amemaliza hata masomo.
You know what, Jimmy? I pray that request is from your mouth to God's ears.
Amen.
Because we really do need leaders
And
who
even
are
those who are
compassionate.
watching.
And we do need leaders who also have an understanding, because many of them have compassion, but they don't have the understanding. So there's a difference. How can schools and workplaces help have these authentic conversations, and how? We tend as humans, again, and as a society in general, we tend to be quite reactive, not very proactive. Again, I told you I have a background in public health, and public health is only is hard. You know, public health exists when there is a crisis.
Yes.
But before the crisis, a lot of work is going behind the scenes, and that is why you don't see the crisis every day. So workplaces, schools, they need to work with that public health prevention approach, health promotion and prevention. Why? Instead of waiting for when a child dies by suicide in school, then we call counselors or we call people to talk to the other kids. No, we need to have this conversation. What teachers need to understand, what do I need to watch for in a child to see the progression? What questions, for example? You know, who loves you? Ask a child that. Who loves you? Yeah. What are you going through? And the same thing in the workplace too. We need to have forums and opportunities to create proactive programs. Not wait, but if you look at how we do things as a country, it is when there's a death in an organization by suicide, when there's a death in the school by suicide, that's when we are willing to put money. By the way, when you are doing that, there is a role for psychological first aid, and we do that. There is a role for that. But that is not the time to educate people. Their brain is on survival mode. It's on fight or flight. They cannot understand. So actually, organizations stop wasting money that way. It's a waste of money, even schools. The best is engage these kids or engage these employees when they are able to absorb this information. Yes, not when they're in a crisis and fear and grief. And even in families. Yes, and that's what I tell parents, and I'll tell you because you're also a parent.
Yeah.
Yes, we all want to give our children very good education, very good gifts and stuff. But the number one thing we can do for them is give them the awareness and the safety of home, of you becoming a safe space for them. And now,
I was sharing with my wife, and I was telling her that I would like to become the safest space for my kid, such that ameenda amekosea huko na nasikia the safest place that they can be
it's to daddy.
is to daddy. Because if I don't, they will land into other hands.
I think you're already doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
I follow you, and you're
Thank
doing
you.
an amazing job. You and Wamboi.
Thank
I
you
don't
very
think there
much.
is anything you need to worry about. Your presence to your children is the biggest gift. Yes.
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
So what keeps you going?
My faith and the fact that I am still in recovery from my trauma. I have healed a great deal. I say the reason I am is one, my faith in God, undeniably. Two, I have healed my wounds, and the ones that are created on a daily basis, I have the skills and the tools and the vulnerability to face them every day. Yes.
One word to the victims, and these are the family members, the community, the church, and because I believe if there is wale watu wenye wa ugongo na hii story ya suicide is the victims wenye wameachwa. One word to them.
Yeah, that one, I have a lot of empathy, to anyone who have experienced suicide. First, because I've worn those shoes.
Yeah.
And number two, I also know majority of families, after they have experienced a death by suicide, they go through guilt. What is it that we didn't see, we didn't do, if only? So there's a lot of guilt. So one thing I'll say, this thing, you can never really understand what you could have done or not done. And even if there's something that you could have done, just have self-compassion and forgive yourself. And I actually, I do groups for suicide survivors, and it's to help with that process of self-healing and self-compassion. Number two, for families, especially now, like my family, where there were children involved, take care of those children. Take care of each other. Take care of that spouse. Take care of those parents who have lost a child. Because in that moment of confusion and grief, they are not able to care for themselves. So be a safe space. And the other thing is, society may put a label on you, may judge you, but just remember that God loves you. Yes, God loves you, and you are not defined by your experience, but you can use your experience to be a source of light and hope and safety for other people.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We will have these conversations more and more to make sure that so many families, so many friends, so many, our communities are hurting about the same. And I know by God's grace and by you coming to this podcast, we'll be able now to help them where we can. Maybe you can give them your location and your contacts so that probably there is someone who is watching and they would maybe need your assistance. You will be of help to them.
Okay.
And where you're located also.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, because this is a podcast, if you're able to share the contacts also,
will.
in case I don't remember very well.
Yeah.
As I said, we do have a mental health facility in Thika. It's a fully licensed and regulated medical facility. It is in Thika. If you have driven to Muranga or Nyeri past that, you see the Del Monte shops. Yeah. That's the landmark. If you are there and you call, you are literally 10 minutes away from Kafrik Center. That is where we have 30 beds. And we provide any mental health service. Particularly, our work is focused so much on the youth. Yes, we have beds for admission. We have 30 beds. We do both genders, and whether it's a mental health diagnosis, substance use, any other, sex addiction, gambling, all of that. And we also have an outpatient office that is in Westlands, Wayaki Way. If you see Lion Place, yes. We are right opposite. Very accessible, even by both places are very accessible. And we do many things. People, I say, whether it's addiction or whatever, you don't even need to be admitted. People just think, oh, I don't want to go to rehab. Rehabilitation is one of the things that we do. But again, for us, we are professional space. We assess what your needs are, from your functional needs, your social needs, your health needs, and also your financial needs. And we never turn people away because we do groups, both in Westlands and in Thika, even groups to just create awareness for survivors. Yeah. So there's a lot we can do. How to reach us? We are on our socials, Kafrik International, Facebook, all of them. But if you wanted to text or WhatsApp us, 0768 665 921. 0768 665 921.
Wow.
That number goes to a licensed psychologist. So there is no way that that person will re-traumatize anyone. Yes.
Thank you so much. Maybe I want you to look at this camera and give us your punchline.
Punchline, let us change the narrative about suicide. And for families and in society and even in our government, we all have a role. And our role is to, one, create safe spaces for people to, even when people experience pain, because pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Yes, so can we all work with that? That suffering is optional and people don't have to suffer, even when they're in pain. And for people who may be experiencing suicidal thoughts, it's just that you're not alone. You're not alone. And the fear, perhaps, of reaching out is because of the stigma that as a society impose on you. But you are the bravest person to face your fear. So be brave and be vulnerable, and you'll get help.
Thank you so much, Irene Njoroge, for coming and for having a conversation that is bold. Thank you so much. We hope to see you soon.
It has been my pleasure. And thank you for having me. Yeah, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you're the real champion here.
Asante sana.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. It's a conversation that we all need to speak, conversation that we all need to share. Please make sure that once you watch this video, make sure that you share, like, and of course subscribe, because we are road to 20,000. Thank you so much. My name is Kajim. Until next time, thank you. This is One on One with Kajim.